Hello. We are back talking about the separation of church and state, the church in the shadow of government. And on the last video, I had a little difficulty, did not realize that I wouldn't be able to use the YouTube editor. They ended that a little while ago, and so I'm doing this one in iMovie. Also realized that I had a typo on the title page. Cool, it would have taken too much time, go back and fix it, so I just did it right on this one. So I'm gonna pick up where I left off and start talking about where we live. You know, those of you who are in the church, you're gonna hear about this. If you're especially if you're in the Church of Christ, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button down there below. Like and subscribe. I need to build an audience, and we can go further and maybe have new equipment and everything one day. So last time, just to recap just a little bit of what we talked about this religious freedom, how there is religious freedom here. The forefathers were fleeing religious persecution in Europe. So for us to think that this was founded upon Christian principles and all that, that's just trash. This is not real. It didn't happen. The other thing is we talked about some of the proofs behind them. Minerva being on top of our Capitol building. What's up with that? You know, the Roman goddess of war. We talked about that, and I'll try to get that picture up sometime during this video. And also the apotheosis of Washington. The painting is there in the rotunda at the top of the dome that presents him as becoming a god. From elevating him from manhood to godhood. That's where you live. That's where you live. I don't care if you're in the church, out of church. This is real. This is stuff you can actually go and look at. So how about this? What if I told you that your government, okay, had even looked into something called a gay bomb? Now, I'm not bashing gays. I'm not talking about homosexuals or anything in a negative way at all, but you got to go and do your research, right? So just want to share something with you before you think it's just, oh man, that's crazy, that's too far-fetched, and why would you be saying that? Well, let's look at it. There's a report out, and this came through January 15, 2005. That's important. Keep note how long ago that was. U.S. military pondered love, not war. I'll try to put a link in the description below. U.S. military investigated building a gay bomb, which would make the enemy soldiers sexually irresistible to each other, the government papers say. Really? A bomb that's gonna make everybody gay? Sound like, no, that's not even possible, right? Well, having been in the military, I know a thing or two about this type of things, and I'll refrain. Those of you that know me know the part of the military that I was in. This is not far-fetched, people. This is real. This is real, and it will go on to say that the weapon never saw the light of day. Okay, we'll get into that a little bit later. And as you read this article, I'll put a link in the description below. It talks even about a so-called halitosis bomb, okay? Something to make escape enemy soldiers or runaway soldiers' breath so stink that they would be able to pick them out of the regular crowd. Now, if you're sitting at home or you're sitting here and you're watching this video, and it just sounds preposterous to you, right? It just sounds crazy, right? Well, let's consider some history. Let's look at this. Anybody out there remember the Comanche helicopter? When I was younger, I used to watch a lot of Discovery Channel and everything. I thought that stuff was so interesting, new technology. That's why, some of the reason why when I went into the military, I wanted to validate all of my curiosities that I had about things going on. It was called the Comanche, or the RAH-66. It's supposedly a stealth helicopter. It was a, let's see how much it was, a huge program, like a $6.9 billion program. This is back in 2004. And they say, well, you know what, it costs too much, we'll scrap that, right? So we don't have any stealth helicopters, do we? Yeah, you're thinking. Because guess what happened? Supposedly we went into Afghanistan And what did we go in there with? A stealth helicopter, right? Okay, so there's these things that exist that's called black projects and stuff like that. This is unaccounted for. This is stuff they don't have to report or tell you how much is being spent on it or not. Guess what, church? Guess what, America? You pay for this stuff. And then I don't understand how we in the church start talking about little petty stuff like whether or not a Christian works for a Budweiser or a Bacardi or whatever. Wait a minute, man. All of us are government employees to an extent, and we fund things that I know good and well we wouldn't agree with, and we do some of that. You may say that's against your will, but anyway, enough of that. So we had a project, and then we see this happening. You have to understand, when you're dealing with the military, you're dealing with the implications. Just because they say they never didn't pursue a project or never saw the light of day does not mean it doesn't exist, does not mean it hasn't been used, does not mean it hasn't been experimented, doesn't mean that the capability is not there. You can actually probably do better by assuming it's there, it's real, they've used it, it works. So if they've done that, and then you got the whole controversy surrounding about the members of SEAL Team 6 going in there and his body being let down at sea or let out to sea, and really. Now see, to the military people that are listening, this will be a little bit easier for you to accept because you've already seen some things. But for those that are not familiar with this and have all the faith of the world with America, it'll be a little bit harder. So I have to show you things like this article, the BBC article. We have to talk about how ABC News talks about the discovery of that stealth helicopter that was used by the Navy SEAL team to go in and penetrate Pakistani radar unnoticed. And for it to get that close to the building, okay, somewhere within the compound, and they weren't able to hear it, or the guards didn't know until it was a little bit too late. So if they'd done that before with a stealth helicopter, they contemplated a gay bomb. And then we have to look a little further into this homosexual thing. What about mercury poisoning? So National Geographic put this link in the description. Talk about mercury poisoning makes birds act homosexual. Mercury poisoning. Now, I don't know if it will have the same effect in humans, if it has to start earlier, if it has to start later. But the point is, there's science behind this. This is really happening. So if you say, well, that's birds and that's the animals, well, again, you would be wrong. Let's go a little further and look at another article. Put the description and a link below. And any of y'all ever heard of a professor by the name of Tyrone Hayes? Yeah, Tyrone Hayes is being targeted by herbicide firm Syngenta. Syngenta is a big company. They're in bed with companies like Monsanto. And if you know anything about Monsanto, then you know we're talking about some big companies with some big money that are doing some major things to mess up humanity. I'll read briefly in this article. We speak with scientist Tyrone Hayes, University of California, Berkeley, who discovered a widely used herbicide that may have harmful effects on the endocrine system. But when he tried to publish the results, the chemicals manufacturer launched a campaign to discredit his work. Hayes was first hired in 1997 by the company, which later became our agribusiness giant Syngenta. So again, you have to follow the implications of this stuff. This exists. So now here's the religious thing. Here's something for the people in the church to start thinking about. Were they born like this? Was there something in the food? Is there has there been some manipulation? Has there been a human experimenting? Now, if you're an African American, that doesn't sound funny to you, because we've been experimenting on. We understand. I don't need to do all the history and fact check whether or not the whole syphilis and all those things, the Tuskegee, what happened to the Tuskegee Airmen and all of that. We know that happened. Okay, so what could be happening now with the experimentation? Well, I for one don't think it's. I think it's worth investigating. So now, what we are looking at each other sideways about could it, in fact, Watchman Church could in fact be something that they did not ask for. People that have that sexual orientation, you could have these issues. So what are some of the crops that Syngenta focus on? I was just curious. What about cereal? How many of y'all got cereal in your house? I just had me a bowl of cereal before I did this video. No, I don't think it's gonna, make me a homosexual or anything. The point is, we don't know where it started. We don't know if there's somebody walking around our hospitals selecting and picking which babies. Speaking of babies, when my daughter was born, and this whole thing of autism, when my daughter was born, a doctor came into our room and said something about a hepatitis C shot. And I asked him, I said, Doc, what's that all about? What is that shot? He told me it was an STD. My daughter had been born just the day before. What does she need protection from a sexually transmitted disease for? So I told him not today. Now, this was the kicker in the story. Before he walked out the room, this doctor looked at me and said, I think you're right for questioning and asking those questions. He said most people feel they have to. Then he told me, he said, because I would have done the same for my kids, and I don't allow my kids to get all these vaccinations. Y'all have a good day. This is a doctor telling me this. This was at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. Doctor telling me this. Y'all be careful what we let. We used to get chicken pox and everything, and they go away. You catch it, and then your immune system builds up tolerance to it or whatever. Now they want to put it in a vaccine. So what really is going on, you do not know. Cereals is what's subject. Corn, okay? Corn is in everything. Let's go further. What about vegetable oils containing unsaturated fats? The little spray oil and stuff that we use. Rice. And then soybeans. This is the stuff that this company that wants to sue a man for his research that has discovered that an herbicide that they want to manufacture can cause people to be homosexual, cause imbalances in your endocrine system. What about potatoes, cotton, fruit, plantation crops, coffee, cocoa, major specialty crops? Church. This is where you live. This is where I live. We here. What we gonna do? So this is kind of things I'm gonna be dealing with. I know it's a bit controversial. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. I want to make some changes. I want to do this bigger and better each and every time. Please, please, please like and subscribe. I'm going to bring it to you the best way I know how. I'm learning all this stuff about video editing and everything, so bear with me. But please like and subscribe. That's very important. Share this video on Facebook. Share it everywhere you can. All right, love you, family. Peace.